What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Max, and today we are testing another viewer's car. This is Dirk's Hyundai i30N, and this is the facelift model with the DCT automatic transmission. So today I'm going to show you around it. We're going to cover the facelift in general and the automatic gearbox as well. Should you go for an automatic or should you go for the manual, which is also still available? And then we'll take it for a little drive towards the Autobahn for an Autobahn blast. So the facelift of the i30N is quite a big one. It's a comprehensive facelift, which I really like, because normally it's just okay, yeah, we change the lights and some stuff you don't see and don't feel and never will, and then we call it a facelift. But with this one, it is a very big facelift. So of course we've got the headlight units, the tail light units, the bumpers, all the usual stuff. And I have to say, it really does look very, very good. It's a very handsome car. I really like the facelift. I really like the look of this front end. I think it does look a bit more modern than the pre-facelift. Nice and aggressive. Nice little red accent down here. I'm not sure which color this is. I want to say performance blue, but it is the Hyundai N color because the buttons on the inside are this color as well. Very nice color. And do I detect a little bit of M2 competition here? Maybe a little bit, right? Of course, there is a lot of M stuff on this car basically, or M influence. So because this new i30N got an automatic transmission, they tried to keep the weight down because they knew that the gearbox was going to make it heavier. So what did they do? We've got new wheels. These are 19-inch forged wheels, and they say 14 kilos, which is really nice. It's a beautiful wheel design as well, and I mean, this is unsprung weight, so it is also very important to keep that as light as possible. And behind that we've got new upgraded brakes, 345mm to 360mm for the facelift, which is very nice. Braking performance is really good. We've got a little side skirt there with an N badge. We've got Pirelli P0s, by the way, pretty good tire. And then at the rear, we've got new rear light units, as you can see, with these LED daytime running lights and these little squares. Looks really cool, actually. And then we've got the diffuser, dual exhaust, which is a proper exhaust, as you can see. Very, very nice. And it produces a nice sound as well. A lot of pops and bangs, which are super fake, of course. But it is a nice sound. For an OPF car, the bangs are pretty loud. So in here we've got the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, pre-facelift, 275 horsepower, 350-ish newton meters. This facelift, 280 horsepower and 392 newton meters of torque. So a nice little bump. But apparently there are a lot of these that have been on the dyno and they deliver from 290 up. So there have been i30Ns on the dyno which had like 300 plus horsepower. So apparently they're a bit more powerful than Hyundai claims, which is always a nice thing. And then on the interior, we've got a big upgrade. So the interior of this car is decent, very nice actually. The car feels really solid, well built. But this was a problem in the previous one, I think. I really didn't like that infotainment system. Yes, you could do a lot in there and the configurability was okay, but just the way it looked, not really my thing. It felt a bit old already when we drove it for the first time. And this really fixes that. So the menu stuff still isn't great, but you can do a lot with it. And it is a touchscreen now that responds really well. And then you've got this custom mode, which we have to start the car up apparently, and you can adjust everything. Look at that. So you've got suspension, steering, ESC, exhaust, limited slip diff, drivetrain, engine or gearbox engine, and you can adjust every little. That is super nice. I really like how they have set that up. I think this is it just looks cool, but it's also very simple to adjust. And in the pre-facelift one, you had all these different sub menus and you had to adjust every one, and it was a hassle basically. This is much better. And then in this screen you also have performance options, launch control, so your shifts and power shift, which is very smart, and track sense shift. So this gearbox, Hyundai actually wanted to have an automatic in the previous one, but the gearbox they had, they thought wasn't good enough. It was a 7-speed dual clutch, and it was deemed a little too slow to fit in a hot hatch. I really like that. I really like the fact that they didn't just throw it out there anyway because they thought they were going to sell more cars. No, they said, it's not good enough, we're not going to do it. So they only offered a manual gearbox. With this one, you can choose between the manual and the automatic. Now, I have to say that for me personally, I would always go for a manual in a hot hatch because I just think that's the best thing. That's just the way to go. But if you drive this car every day, if it's like your daily and you want a fun daily, I do get why people go for the automatic version. And this is a very good one. It is an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and it has something called N power shift, which is something similar to a McLaren 720S. So it stores kinetic energy inside the gearbox and releases that energy during the shifts. So that means that you get a little power boost, and that means that you don't lose any acceleration during the shifts basically. That's really clever, and the track sense is basically a self-learning program. So if you drive on the track, it will learn the track and decide where to shift. Which is very advanced stuff for an automatic gearbox in a hot hatch. I mean, that's very cool that you have that. Other than that, I said this was a big one. We've also got suspension, so springs and dampers. We've got anti-roll bars. So let's find out what that feels like and take it for a drive. As I said, I would personally go for a manual gearbox because I just feel that fits the hot hatch better. But we are going to focus on the automatic today because I do think that a lot of people were maybe waiting for this, or at least felt like the car could use this, the automatic, because it is a very popular car, and rightly so, because it's a really good hot hatch. So sound wise, there's not a whole lot of sound. It's mainly that you've got these pops and bangs, which, yeah, they are quite loud, but they also are a bit repetitive. And I'm not a big fan of that. The fact that you can just predict when it's going to do it and for how long and how it's going to sound. But the gearbox is really impressive. The shifts are super quick. The response to the pedal is great as well. Yeah, man, that is a good effort by Hyundai. I mean, it is seriously impressive, and I wasn't really expecting it to be this good. I mean, you get all that software stuff, which is already very impressive, but the way it feels is like properly good. It is a lot better than the DSG gearbox in a VW Golf GTI, for instance. So I think that's the main competitor to this car, especially now with this gearbox, and it is better. All right, so launch control, as I said, we've got that in this menu, 2800 RPM, but you can adjust that with the button here, but we're going to keep it at 2800 because that's the best RPM. There we go. Box down a little bit, and then it grips, and then you have to shift yourself because you're in manual mode, and that should be 0 to 100 in 5.4 seconds, which is, I think, half a second quicker than the manual, which is pretty decent. Now, handling wise, it is still very impressive. We've got those adjustable dampers, so I am in N mode now, so everything is in its most aggressive setting, and the dampers are really firm. It is a big difference if you switch from comfort to sport or the most aggressive setting, which is great. I do feel like it's a bit too harsh sometimes for a B road like this, but for a track this would be really good. Yeah, I just feel like the manual offers so much more driver involvement that I immediately think, well, I wish it was a manual. And it doesn't really matter how good the automatic is. I mean, this is a really good automatic, but I would be having more fun in a manual right now. And I get why people go for the automatic, but manual for me. And the manual gearbox in an i30N is also really good. So yeah, they really have you covered with gearboxes at Hyundai, because both the DCT and the manual are absolutely awesome. All right, so at the Autobahn, I really like the limited slip diff on this car as well. It's an electronically controlled mechanical Torsen limited slip diff. And it works really well because you don't really feel it working. So it's there in the background helping you out, making sure that the power goes to the right wheel, but it's all very well done. And that's what we've seen from Hyundai, and especially the N division recently in the last few years, that everything they do it well. They're very thorough and they execute good ideas in a very good way. And I think it's a really nice addition to the hothatch landscape, so to say. Okay, so we are in N mode right now, which means that I've got that super firm suspension. So if we go to normal, it completely evens out. It is a really big difference between N suspension. I don't know if you guys can see that because the stabilizers on GoPros have gotten so incredible, but it is a really big difference, and I really like that. So 100 to 200, of course, we also measured that. We measured a 13.88 second run, which is very respectable. That is a good time for this car. And that is right on the money. 280 horsepower, performs really well. You've got that super quick gearbox to help you out. So yeah, performance is awesome. All right, so we are now in custom mode, which means that we've got this setup right here. Everything in Sport Plus except for the suspension. And man, that is a good Autobahn setting. This is what I was looking for all along. So you have to hold this button for 3 seconds apparently. I didn't see the notification there. This is a big improvement. And these dampers are amazing. I mean, I don't think there is a car that boasts such a big difference between sport and comfort and normal mode. And I have to say, the i30N at high speeds as well, it feels very solid. It feels well built, and it feels bigger than it is. That's 254, and you can really see that the performance at higher speed, so from like 200 to 250, has been improved quite dramatically, because the pre-facelift car would really struggle after 230 kilometers an hour. And apparently they fitted a new turbo on this car. You wouldn't say that with such a small power increase, 5 horsepower, 39 newton meters of torque, but you can feel that the drivability and the performance has improved. It hasn't increased by that much, but the performance and the power delivery have been improved, which is really nice. So all in all, a really good car that has been improved by a lot. It might be the best all-round hot hatch you can buy right now, because I mean, it was good before, but this automatic, it really changes the way people will look at this car. I myself, as I said, would go for a manual because I just love that about a hot hatch, just throwing it around. And even with a manual, it is a really good all-round hot hatch. But this automatic, it just adds that little bit of, you know, long journey capability, holiday stuff, and of course people who drive for their jobs a lot and just want a fun, fast car. Yeah, I can really get why this is a good addition. And the car itself has been improved by so much. So yeah, really impressive car. Thanks Dirk for taking it to us. I know you wanted the manual and your girlfriend wanted the automatic, but I have to say I do quite like the automatic. To you guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking the big button in the middle. You can also check out this video right here, or go check out this playlist on the left. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.